I know, just a lunch and learn Q&A for beginners. Yeah, 20. I'm on the team today. Mentor. More like just templates, making templates and building them. I don't. I work as a kind of freelancer consultant for companies, but I don't do any, the whole social media stuff. Are you just a hacker? Okay. No, I just posted in the gallery, posted on the community forum, but yeah, not really kind of like extensive social media presence. Are you from London? Yeah, I flew in from London just for this event. Yes, definitely. So we need some technical help. Oh, fantastic. Okay. For another hackathon. Yeah. Hi everyone. So this is just a quick lunch and learn Q&A session as you kind of eat pizza. I don't expect your full attention, so it's fine. But we're just going to go through a few tips and tricks and see if you guys can get anything from this to benefit the stuff you're building, right? So yeah. Cool. So how's everyone finding n8n so far, for those who've just started using it? Your silence is promising. Thank you. But yeah, so just a few random tips for using n8n. I've been going around and seeing what people are getting stuck on. So just kind of wanted to share today and this is just a few short minutes, just to share knowledge, I guess. So first we'll start with execution order. So how n8n works is you have a canvas, and you have sort of nodes in the canvas, but they don't run in parallel, right? So if I start with this execution, what do we expect, right? We expect basically both rows to run at the same time, but that's not what happens. So if I run this now, right? So the first row completes before it moves on to the second row. Now this is where it's kind of confusing, but in n8n, the position of your nodes matter. It goes from top to bottom, left to right. So if I now move this set of nodes on the top, now clear execution, and I run this again, you can see how it's now run the top before it runs the bottom. So just FYI, if you do branch your nodes, that's kind of how you expect to run. Right, so that's execution order. Great. Right. Next is item referencing. So in here I have sort of just a very basic set node, and I've set my name as Jim. Right? So I execute this one. So you see Jim here. But I say I have another node which outputs a different set of data. Right. Now we know in n8n how we reference the data from the previous node is we use the JSON, $JSON reference, right? So if I don't know if I can do something here. Sorry, that's not it. Maybe this here. So I do JSON will basically get me the data from the previous node. It's not going to get me. Okay, never mind. But we do it that way, right? So, but if I have something where the output's changed, how do I then reference it from this one? Say I need to pull my name back in. And this is what item referencing. So you can actually use an expression, and then you sort of have this $, the name of the node. And that basically is how you basically reference something in the past, basically, in the previous steps. So you don't need to change everything one by one and kind of bring it forward. You can actually get data from somewhere all the way to the back, from all the way from the front. So just FYI, you can do that in n8n. Okay. So that's item referencing. Again, if you have any kind of questions on this or you experience some of these problems, come to me. I'll kind of walk you through it in detail. Right. The next one is node options. So I don't know if how many of you know this, but when you open a node in editor mode, this is like editor mode, you have the settings tab. And the settings tab, typically you have these three options here. So always output data, which is basically like if there is no data that the node can output. So like it doesn't find something or there is just nothing it returns. You can force it through. So that's how you do it in this one. And what happens is it provides an empty object, which comes out the other end. This is useful because if you're in n8n, your workflow will stop if a node has no data to output. So that's its default behavior. So if it comes out blank, it will just basically stop automatically. So you can force it to make it continue. Execute once. So if you have, this is related to n8n's concept called item linking. So if you have like 5 items coming into a node, it runs 5 times. If you don't want that to happen, you can use this toggle, which basically makes it only execute once for those 5 items. It's useful if you have like, say you're pulling URLs or links out of a web page, but you want to process all those links as one rather than processing one at a time. That's, you would toggle this on. It's a little bit of a more advanced topic, but if you're running into that issue, this is one of the ways you can solve it. Retries. So I don't know how many of you have encountered it so far, but nodes can actually fail, right? If you have like a 404, for example, if I hit this link and there's like a URL which doesn't work, what happens is the execution stops by default, right? Errors stop workflows. And what you can do if it's only a temporary issue, you could use the retry on fail option. What this means is it will basically keep retrying until it works. I think there's like it's a max retry of like 5. Yeah, okay. And then you can put a time between the retries. So this is helpful if you have very flaky APIs, or even if you're waiting on something to complete, as a way to basically, you're going to fail, you just want to retry 5 times. So it's retry and fail. Really useful for really kind of a more resilient workflows. If you're like, certain services are a bit dodgy, you can use this. The other one is you can have this on error. The default is stop workflow, but you can switch this to continue. So wouldn't recommend it. Because if you're continuing with an error, something is definitely wrong. Or you continue with an error. So if you continue here, it basically like just continues out the back. But if you switch it to continue using error output, what you see is there's another branch. And this you could maybe just send the error to Slack. And obviously stop the workflow, but you can handle it, error handling that way. Okay, so there's node options. Next fun one is binary data. So this one was counted today. It's an error is, so say binary data is obviously files, right? Files, PDFs, images, audio files, video files. And one common issue is, how do I now process this? Say I wanted to extract from this file. How do I sort of process it, right? So it's asking, like, obviously operations, extract from PDF, but input binary field is something everyone's confused about. So typically you'd be like, oh, do I need to get the binary file in here and put like this? No. So what it is actually looking for the name of the binary file. So in this case, it's the red text here. Is what you want for binary field. So you don't need to put any complex expressions. You just need to know. So sometimes when you download attachments from emails, they're not called data. They're called attachment 0, attachment 1, attachment 2. You would put the attachment name in this field. So it's only looking for the name of the file. Similarly, in this one is another example. Put output field in field, the output file in field. It's looking for the name of the output binary, which is the red text here. Data. Cool. Right. Right, so a more complex one. So items, array, and looping. So when I talk to my developer friends, this is what confuses them the most because they think of loops and looping and arrays very differently to how we perceive them in n8n. So in n8n we have something called item linking, which is when you see here, you see there's one item and one item, and here in this if statement, I basically have a reference to the initial start, which is the previous node, and I'm getting the value, and I'm saying that if it's less than 10 seconds ago, continue. So I'm basically trying to loop it for 10 times, and then if it fails that condition, it kind of goes around in a loop, and then probably easy to show you actually. Sorry, let me just execute again. So how you can loop is basically you can drag the connection backwards to the previous node. You see, it's gone. It probably didn't render the animation correctly, but it's done 10 times because it kind of go through the loop. So if you want to loop something, you just basically drag the connection back into something you can't do in Make, by the way. Okay, so yeah, that's how you can do it. Here's a more interesting item linking example. So here we're getting URLs as an array. Now, because I want to process each of these URLs separately, I need to split them out. So here you can see this comes as one item. See one item here? But to process them separately, I need to split them into, this is an array. I need to split them into items. And that's where I use the split out node. So I put URL as the filter split here. What happens is I'm left with these separate items. So URLs as separate things that I can process. So you can see it's 1 to 3. And then I fetch those pages. And I'm regretting this example because our internet is quite terrible today. Right, so now I've got 3 web pages. And I want to get all the links out. So I want to get all the URLs out of the links on the page, hyperlinks. But they're coming as arrays. You see links as arrays. But say I wanted to process each of these links separately, I would split out again. Now what's happening is you're seeing the items here go from 3 to 308 items, right? And kind of that's important because you kind of if you want to be an effective builder, you got to keep counting the items and following the flow. So here, I'm just going to reduce the amount of links to make it. So I'm only interested in links which are prefixed with the /workflows fragment. This should give me 33. So just slim it down. But now my ultimate goal is I want to associate the page, the URL page, with the links that was on that page. But what we'll see is we can't do that because if I put all the workflows into a single array so that I can attach it to the URL, even though I've referenced it all the way back to where I split it here, you come up with this common n8n error, which is it can't find the matching item. So what item linking works is if there's one item coming in, it matches with one item coming out. 3 items, it matches with 3 items coming out, and you match them by position in that array. Now once that goes from 3 to 308 to 33, you basically, when you try to do this item, you lose the reference because it can't match it anymore. It's like it's been split up so many times that it's been chopped and changed that you can't really find where that item is. And if you start building, get used to building n8n workflows, you come across this a lot. So how do we fix this, right? How do we say that ultimately we get the URL and then we get the links associated with that URL? You would introduce a loop node. Yeah. Here's one I made earlier. So I'm just going to bring that up here. And what you kind of want to do is, so we've got 3 URLs. Let's start with them. So we want to split this off. We're going to connect this to the loop node. And what this does is it processes each URL as a separate, sort of in a separate branch, I guess. I probably need a better term for that. I'll work on that for the next presentation. But you process them separately and you work with the items separately. But then you come back, basically you're trying to, when you come back into the loop, you want to produce one item so that the linking still exists. Probably not the best explanation, but what I can do is I can then snip this guy and put it here. Now when I run this, so each URL is being processed separately. So its links are getting processed separately and then coming back as a single item separately. So I have 3 items coming into the loop and 3 items leaving the loop, and therefore the items now match, right? Even though I've kind of done all the chopping and changing at the bottom. So now I got URLs for this URL, and I got all the links for that. I think if I change to, we can see better. So on this page, I've got all these links, and on this page, I've got all these links. Whereas previously, I couldn't even make that connection. So that's kind of really a crash course on item linking and kind of when to use the loop. But ultimately, yeah. That's sort of the lesson here, I guess, how n8n kind of works under the hood. So there is documentation for item linking in the, obviously n8n official site, and I think to be a master builder, like a Lego master builder, you kind of need to understand this concept of what items are coming in and what items are coming out. Yeah, cool. All right. I'm going to move on. Very complex topic, but yeah, find me later if you want to kind of dig more into that. Right. Next topic is AI agents versus AI workflows. Now, I get this question a lot. Which one should I use? Personally, use which one basically you like. I don't think there's a particular advantage of using either. They kind of work with the same libraries underneath. Agents obviously are autonomous decision-making scenarios where you kind of there's ifs and buts, and the other nodes are more akin to workflows where it's like very deterministic. You know kind of what you want. There's not really a need for the agent to decide on what to do. Agents also have memory. So if you are wanting to build something with like multi-turn conversation, then yeah, definitely agents are something that you want to do. So this is how you attach memory to it. And tools are, basically tools for the agent to extend their capability. In n8n, it's very easy to assign vector stores to your agent. So you kind of like the really easiest way to build a RAG type of flow. We also kind of support many different vector stores in here. So it's really kind of easy to use. But we can also have agents use the HTTP node, which effectively makes it like a web scraping agent, but also every API then can become an agent tool. So you don't need to wait for n8n to give you the tool. If you want to connect to say a fitness API or something for your fitness app, you can use the HTTP tool, which the agent could use to kind of connect to it. So limitless potential and kind of how you want to use it. I would say that for workflow tools, it does have the advantage of really kind of better support for structured output. So structured output, if you don't know, is how do I get the my width and height, right, out of a particular context. Yeah, so that's definitely how you could parse a document and say what are the chapters or kind of particular measurements in there. You could use structured output to do that. So yeah, definitely. Hopefully that gives you an idea of when to use agents and when to use workflows. But ultimately, if you're doing a very basic scenario, there's not really much difference between them. And finally, just wanted to go over human in the loop. So human in the loop, I don't know how many of you have seen it, but human in the loop, how it works in n8n is it sends a message off to a human, and then the human is presented with a form. And I'm hoping I can show you that today, in case you want to kind of use it. Where is my manual trigger? There it goes. right? So let me jump set up. So if I test this, what should happen is I should get an email, right? So what you can see here, it's waiting. So in n8n, workflows can be paused and resumed. Human in the loop, how it works is it pauses your workflow until a human interacts with that form to make it kind of continue. So if I now go to my test account, right? So this is the email I've received, and a simple approve button. So when I click this, okay, let me just, apologies. Yeah, that's probably, sorry, should have set it up better, but imagine I did click that. It would basically cause this to kind of resume again. So it's kind of really special functionality to get it to work, but it's a way you could say you have AI like do an assessment or AI doing kind of a processing and you want to check it before it kind of goes through to like a database. n8n's human in the loop nodes can help you out with that. So if you open up the nodes panel and you see this option here, human in the loop, all these messaging platforms are supported. So you can send it like to WhatsApp. If someone wants to like approve a holiday or something, could send it. So check that out. Yeah, this is a Slack one. Also kind of want to note is approval is just one scenario. You can actually extend this by having a custom form. So here, you could have that same email, but come in like a link which sends you to a form, and then that form needs to be filled in before it kind of resumes the workflow. So just FYI, that exists in n8n. Cool. I think that's it for the lunch and learn. Hopefully you guys are still awake. But yeah, any questions? Okay. No questions? Okay, cool. Oh yeah, sorry, question. Sorry, the question was where can you get the copy of this template? I can share it, yeah, in the Discord. Share in Discord.
Does it work? No? Okay. Thank you for, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Jim. I have a question about running the flow, the workflow. Can you show us, is this on demand? Do you have to click start? Can you execute it on a timely, like on a schedule basis?
So the question was, I guess, like how many ways we can trigger a workflow, right? You want to? Okay. So in n8n we have some triggers. Type in the word trigger. We have, and I think I showed this in the webinar as well, but we have like user-activated triggers, which is like the manual trigger that we see here, which you mainly use the manual trigger for like debugging and development work. And we have like non-user activation triggers, which is like the schedule trigger. So the schedule trigger is what in development world we call the cron job, where you kind of set it for an interview and it keeps running, which is great if you need like, say you are monitoring a website or you're monitoring an RSS feed. You would use the schedule trigger to basically run it in the background to change it. We also have app triggers. So let me show you an example. So each node has an actions menu, but also a trigger menu. And app triggers is like, for Google Drive, it would be something like, if a change happened to a specific file, or if someone like uploaded a folder, those triggers exist. So you would, yeah, definitely before you use use scheduled triggers and the manual stuff, is try to look for your app that you want to use and see if there's a trigger associated, because a lot of them do have it. So it'd be like HubSpot. If I collapse this, yeah, there's 18 triggers you can use here. Right, so not sure what's happened there. Okay, I think my computer just died, but right. Cool. Any more questions? Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to Hi, yeah, my question is, can you create a custom tool that contains different nodes all in the same workflow? Can you, is it possible to create custom tools for agents that contain different nodes all in the same workflow?
So the question was, can you create custom tools for agents? And yeah, so technically, how you would create a custom tool like workflow, called an n8n workflow tool, I guess, is how you would do it. And this works on a concept of sub-workflows in n8n. And what it is if you have another workflow in your system, you can connect it, or you can call the existing workflow. So here you would put workflow.id. And essentially how sub-workflows, it's basically it would call itself, this template would call itself. And then you would have this execute workflow, sub-workflow trigger. I don't know, this is going like super advanced level now. But this guy would basically call this guy. And then you can have like any other nodes in here. So you could put like a HubSpot node again, right? So in this scenario, your agent would now have the ability to create companies in HubSpot. You just have to, I guess in this guy, you could probably have to put a description, call this tool to create company items in HubSpot, right? Does it make sense? Yeah? Nice. Excellent. All right. I'm not going to take any more questions because you guys need to get back to work, right? I expect after you've seen this, I'm expecting like the most kick-ass templates and workflows ever. So like no excuses, right? Right. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Thank you, Jeff.
Right. No worries. Good luck. Yeah.
Do you know the tool called Mind Studio?
Yes. Yeah.